Hello once again. Thanks for joining me for another edition of Electric Avenue's YouTube updates. I am happy to announce that we're heading towards the end of August 2024. This is new releases for August 23rd. And back to school for a lot of people is around the corner. And releases right now are kind of in a little bit of a slower period. We do have some great things coming out. And by early September, they really start ramping up again, kind of trying to fill the racks with things for the holiday season. Can't believe I'm talking about that already, can you? So anyway, let's get started with new releases. And I should note, first of all, that we did get more of these back in, just a second shot of them. And this is the Jack White album, No Name, and these are super rare-ish, super rare, made by Third Man. This is the album, the surprise album that Jack White released a couple weeks ago. It sort of started with giving them away at Third Man stores in these weird nondescript white covers. Then it was announced indie stores were going to get this version that was pressed on blue vinyl. The first week that these came out, they were selling for almost $500 in some cases online. Most of them were around 100 or up. In stores, they were like 31, 32. And so we sold our first allotment of them, thought that that was all we were getting. Then we were able to get a few more, but I think this might be it for the color ones. At some point soon, they're going to shift over to a different vinyl or black one. So get these while you can. It's very nondescript. It rocks. If you like classic White Stripes, you like the harder side of Led Zeppelin, you definitely need to check this out. It's one of the best records of the year as far as the rawness, the sort of authentic nature of it. You know, it proves that Jack really is an indie rock guy, and he doesn't play the game that other artists play, but his game is surprise in this case. And so check it out. No Name is the name. It doesn't really have any indication on it on the spine. It tiny little Jack White. It says No Name, but there's nothing to indicate that on the cover. So. And one of our biggest sellers of the year, too. So, good for him. It sort of has reinvigorated his career, I think, in a way, too. Not like it ever really went into a slump, but I think it kind of reawoke a lot of people's sort of awareness of Jack White as far as, you know, can he still rock out? Yeah, definitely. It's a good sort of energetic record for the times. The biggest new release this week, probably I would say, is for us anyway, is the new Fontaines DC album. There's a lot of glare on this morning. This is called Romance, and these guys are sort of post-punk, post-alternative from the UK. The big Irish influence, I believe, but. Yeah, this album is sort of being touted as a breakthrough. I mean, I think their last album, Skinty Fia, was sort of a breakthrough in a way, but or even the one before that. But they've been steadily gaining in audience, and this one's called Romance. I love this cover. This is the indie exclusive on pink vinyl. It's just a weird warped cover, but it's cool. So anyway, there you go. Fontaines DC. I think they're also a band that's sort of coming into their own a lot. Their lead singer, I want to say it's Grian Chatton or Grian Chatton, I'm not sure. I think it's Grian. But his solo record last year was also really good, so check that out. Country singer who really has made a breakthrough now, Lainey Wilson. And here's her new album, Whirlwind. And this, she's sort of become like the new it girl in country music, but it has a duet with Miranda Lambert on here. So I would check her out. I think she's on the Twister soundtrack as well. So yeah. One thing I should mention I don't have that is coming tomorrow. They will not let anybody sort of have it or sell it early, apparently. Coming from these shipping places is Sabrina Carpenter. One of the biggest hits of the summer was Espresso, and that is on that album. And they just don't want to give anything out early. They don't want it slipping out early. So they do everything they can to kind of make it last minute. So if you're looking for the Sabrina Carpenter, we should have it, but it's not in the video. So, all right. New album from John Anderson and the Band Geeks. And it's called True. John being of the band Yes. And, you know, he'd sort of kind of said he was going to retire from music and then went ahead and made this album. So I'm not exactly sure who all is in this band with him. But 9 tracks. One is quite long, 16 minutes. One is about 10 minutes. So you're getting definite Yes vibes here, I think. It's just something for him to do kind of on the side, I guess. So he's made solo records before. This album is probably going to be sort of sought after by the indie kids. This is the Spirit of the Beehive. And I think they're a Philly band. I'm not sure. It says the follow-up to Entertainment, Death, featuring Let the Virgin Drive, I've Been Evil, Found a Body, and One of 500. Indie exclusive edition of 1,000 on Happy Birthday splatter vinyl. So they're pretty indie rock, sort of, Spirit of the Beehive. So that's getting a lot of talk. I really liked this duo's last record, and I'm very intrigued by this. It's sort of electro-pop. Their name is Magdalena Bay, and the album is called Imaginal Disc. And Mika here on the cover, and Matt on the back. And they're the two, they're like a couple. It's very electronic, but it's sort of also influenced by progressive rock. So sometimes they kind of go into like very unexpected places, sort of either psychedelic wig outs or, you know, into sort of more drawn out passages that you wouldn't get on a regular techno pop record. Songs like Vampire in the Corner, She Looked Like Me, Death and Romance, Feeling Disc Inserted. If you see their videos online, they say they're, one thing I was reading yesterday, they said they're very influenced by Peter Gabriel's Steam video. Not so much the Sledgehammer video, which they love, but Steam is a little bit more like using digital technology, and they said it looked really cheap, or looks really cheap by today's standards, but anyway, so that kind of informs their visual. It's kind of a creepy cover too, in a way, with this kind of weird hand inserting discs into their foreheads. So it's a little bit off the beaten path of typical electronic pop. So, and another electronic duo here, Sophie Tucker, and this is their new record, Bread. And again, another duo that's been building a huge following on the sort of youth underground side. And I love this picture on the back where she's wearing a dress that's sort of made out of bread, and he's got bread pinned to his lapel. So anyway, yeah, their album, 10 tracks. I think Magdalena had 15, but they're a little more. It says at the bottom here, Bread is be really energetic and dance. So yeah, be really energetic. Seems like a good time. Joe P. Any Stranger Things fans out there? We just had Maya Hawke's new album come out, Ethan's daughter, and Uma. And then this is Joe, who's heavily featured on Stranger Things. He's one of the heroes, youth heroes on there. And this is on Sky Blue vinyl. It's his new solo record, featuring Violet and Off My Mind. It says it's his new debut, his debut LP, and it's also called Garden State Vampire. So, Stranger Things fans, how can you not? Kind of an interesting remake. Lydia Loveless, she went back and redid one of her albums, Something Else. It says 10 years after its release, Lydia sits down at the piano for an intimate reimagining of her landmark album, Somewhere Else. So this is called Something Else. Sort of a different sort of take on that album. I've been waiting for this for a while. I know some people have. The Saltburn Soundtrack. Yes! So, Saltburn, crazy movie. Interesting movie. It was a good movie. Entertaining. But anyway, so this soundtrack, there was a song on here that was heavily sought after when the movie came out. And it's on here, Murder on the Dance Floor by Sophie Ellis-Bextor. So this also features tracks from Block Party, Ladytron, Cold War Kids, Arcade Fire, Tom Craft, Mason vs. Princess Superstar, MGMT's Time to Pretend, Baby Bird, Girls Aloud, Mr. Brightside by The Killers, Benny Benassi, and the Cheeky Girls, Have a Cheeky Christmas. They're all the songs that were used in the movie. The songs were pretty much taken from whatever that period that the movie is supposed to be set in, so about 20 years ago, sort of. So, yeah, 2003, 4. Those were radio songs and our hit songs, or well-known songs. Very excited about this, too. Cocko Twins and Harold Budd, a reissue of their kind of duet album, The Moon and the Melodies. And so this was sort of like if you took a Cocko Twins EP and a Harold Budd EP, so about four songs of each, and sort of kind of went back and forth. And I don't know how much they did together on this record. I think Harold might have played a little bit, but you know, on the Cocteau songs. But Simon Raymond already was sort of a keyboardist in the band. But it's very good stuff from late 80s, finally back on vinyl. Features See Swallow Me, She Will Destroy You, Ooze Out and Away One How. Really interesting song titles. Harold's stuff is very super dreamy, instrumental usually, just like very like light keyboards that just kind of, it's like it puts you in a trance. It sort of wash over you a lot of the time. I use a lot of Harold's music to go to sleep at night because it kind of just floats away, and it's just it's really beautiful. But Cocteau Twins, one of my favorite bands of all time, so that's cool that that's out again. Some jazz things. Diana Krall's When I Look Into Your Eyes. A few weeks ago, she reissued Look of Love. Or Verve Acoustic Sounds did. And this is another Verve Acoustic Sounds release. They do such a great job on remastering their records. Both of these are a little bit expensive because they're double albums on vinyl. So there's a little bit more material, but let's see. This one was produced, I think it was just like the other, was produced by Tommy LaPuma, who's a really incredible producer. And Diana, now Mrs. Costello, still, these early year albums of hers were really, really good. Look of Love has more of that Dusty Springfield kind of husky vibe, and this does too, but this goes a little bit more into the sort of jazzier. She does like Let's Fall in Love, I've Got You Under My Skin, more traditional. Popsicle Toes is kind of fun on this. It's like the song about licking toes. It's a very odd song, but it's a very, popular traditional song now. Another great jazz release this week, Wayne Shorter's Celebration Volume 1. And this was put out by Blue Note, I think. Yeah, Blue Note put this out. And this was recorded live at Stockholm Concert Hall. Doesn't really say what year, but it's a celebration. So I don't know who is on this with him other than him. It's really sort of nondescript on the cover, but he does zero gravity to the 15th dimension, then again to the 11th and the 12th dimension, then to the 90th dimension, and the last track is She Moves Through the Fair. It's a double album, so might want to look that up online if you're interested in Wayne Shorter. Another jazz reissue this week, Charlie Parker, Ornithology, The Best of Bird. This was done by Craft Recordings, who does amazing work, always does amazing work. Mastered by Paul Blakemore, featuring 11 tracks recorded between 1945 and 53, including Cocko, Billy's Bounce, and Groovin' High. New liner notes by Ashley Kahn, Grammy Award-winning archivist there. Charlie Parker. Can't get enough of him. This is an interesting release this week. Patrice Russian, and the album's called Prelusional, and Prelusion, sorry. And this she's probably most well known for her song Forget Me Nots, which was a big hit around 1980-81 that George Michael sampled later for his Fast Love song. But this is early stuff. I mean, she looks like a pretty young girl there. And it's an interesting story. At the young age of 20, she's following in the footsteps of giants as Herbie Hancock, Keith Jarrett, McCoy Tyner. She was a great jazz pianist, studied University of Southern California. Anyway, she eventually went sort of more like mainstream soul kind of, but always really good at arranging stuff. This was her debut album, an R&B influenced jazz piano opus featuring contributions from saxophonist Joe Henderson. Kevin Gray did the mastering at Coherent Audio. This is part of the Jazz Dispensary series, Jazz Dispensary Top Shelf series. So they've been sort of there haven't been as many of those jazz dispensaries over the summer. So 311 and their album Grassroots, and this is kind of an interesting cover that they've done. It's their sophomore album, not from 90s alt-rock legends, including bonus tracks appearing on vinyl for the first time, 2 LPs on clear vinyl with brown swirls. So you get a little bit more than the original record. Summer of Love 1994 version, Homebrew pre-production version, Offbeat Bare Ass pre-production version, 6 and Lose pre-production versions. So a little bit more raw, I suppose. But anyway, 311. I was looking forward to this too. There's not a lot of releases this week, but there's some really cool ones. Mark Lanigan and Bubblegum 20XX. This is Mark Lanigan's 20th anniversary remastered 2 LP edition. The indie exclusive is a transparent red vinyl. Mark was the lead singer of Screaming Trees. He died a couple of years ago, and this is one of his best albums, best solo albums. It had quite a few songs. I remember when this came out, it's like 17 songs on this, I think. I don't know if it had that many on the original or some were bonus, but sort of like during the era when like Nick Cave was really kind of like hitting his stride too, and sort of, but it's 2004. So anyway, Mark Lanigan. I know there's some Mark fans out there, so that's an album you're probably gonna want. And I don't know, there's supposedly some sort of more deluxe version of it, but everyone says it's sold out and the shipping or ordering was weird on it, so I don't know. That's a good reissue there. Joe Henry, Civilians. It's another great album good to see these things coming out on vinyl and that someone's supporting these great singer-songwriters. This is the Poetic 10th studio album. Also, it's a black double LP, includes previously unreleased demo versions. An album with a lot of heart and a prime piece of American songwriting, says Treble magazine of 2007. Joe has done work a lot with people like Mavis Staples, and also of note, Joe is Madonna's brother-in-law, and wrote the song Don't Tell Me, which she ended up doing more of a hip-hop-y kind of version, cutting up stuff and whatever. I believe he might have even recorded it first, but she liked the song and was like, I think I could do that, and kind of did a more of a country version in a way, but it was like techno country in 2001 or 2. Jim Croce, Photographs and Memories. This is a pretty well-known recording, and this is his greatest hits. It's a 2023 mix by Paul Hicks, sourced from the original multi-track tape. So this is like a greatest hits album. It has Bad Bad Leroy Brown, Time in a Bottle, Have to Say I Love You in a Song, Don't Mess Around with Jim. I wish that they had made the cover embossed. That's the only thing, because I think the originals might have been, or I don't know. It's just a different print here, but it's not that far off. I mean, the image itself is the same, but I Got a Name, Working at the Car Wash Blues. Great collection. So, and a 2023 mix. Death Cab for Cuties, the photo album, gets another pressing, and this is the 2021 Joao Carvalho remaster. Includes original vinyl bonus track Gridlock Caravans. Full-size 12-page booklet features all the photos from the original CD artwork. So Death Cab fans, if you're completists, there's a bonus track there. Built to Spill, and I think this came out last year or the year before as a Record Store Day Essential, but now this is the 30th anniversary pressing on Jade Blue vinyl. Well, that's hard to believe. I just heard today that Portishead's Dummy, which I think I've reviewed on this channel, just turned 30 today. So anyway, hard to believe. Great classics just go older, further and further into the rear view. But Built to Spill is on Jade Blue vinyl. It's one of their early records. Okay, I think that was everything, actually. What do I have on CD? There was not much. Sort of a lot of the same kind of stuff. Oh, an album that I sort of missed last week, Charlie Bliss. That's something that some people were looking for, sort of indie pop stuff. Steve Cropper, that's a new CD, and The Midnight Hour, if you're into Steve Cropper blues kind of stuff. There's a reissue of Kylie Minogue's Tension on CD with a couple extra tracks, 3 extra tracks actually. Love Train, Just Imagine, and Somebody to Love. I think those were on the digital version. And then Porter Robinson and his new record. This one, I don't remember the name of it. But anyway, he's so prolific, and it's he's sort of electronic artist, so that's new. But yeah, not a ton of CD action this week. Oh, and I guess I should show this because this is great. If you're not aware, John Cale, and this is Ship of Fools, the Island albums. These were the 3 albums that he recorded in the 70s. Fierce, Slow Dazzle, and Helen of Troy. Each one of these CDs has bonus tracks on it, and for about 30 bucks you get 3 of the best albums of the 70s. And I say that because not only did John produce things like early Patti Smith records, he was a member of the Velvet Underground with Lou Reed, but these records are kind of like raw in a way, but also carry through some of the sweetness, and the sort of like more Americana type textures that he'd done on albums like Paris 1919. But then he goes like full goth on like his cover of Heartbreak Hotel, the Elvis Presley song. It might be along with Nico's stuff, which he also had involvement in a lot of that. He definitely like had a sort of goth rocky side to it, going way back to the Velvets. And so that also gets brought out here on his cover of Heartbreak Hotel, on Slow Dazzle in particular. But if you haven't heard those 3 albums, especially, well, Helen of Troy, I think, featured Phil Collins on drums, Brian Eno's on a lot of these records. If you like mid-70s Bowie, and you like Brian Eno's records, maybe, I would definitely check these out. Fear, Slow Dazzle, and Helen of Troy. He just released a new album called Poptical Illusion. It's pretty good. John is in his 80s now, so 82, 83, still going strong. So, you know, John Mayall we just lost recently, and he was in his late 80s, I think. You know, so look at Willie Nelson. I mean, who's to say when someone has to stop? Anyway, on that note, let's see. Oh, so I just wanted to cover some of the like new releases that are upcoming, just to give you a little bit of a refresher here. So, and these are just things that I have seen on websites. So just to give you a quick rundown, if you've got a pen and paper handy or whatever, and you just want to like, oh yeah, write that down or whatever. August 30th, next week, the new Nick Cave album, Wild God, Nick Cave and the Bad Seeds. This is supposed to be amazing. I can't wait to hear this album, because it's all about Nick embracing the joy of living after a few somber albums dealing with the death of his son, 2 sons actually now. Yes, he had a couple sons. I mean, he still has some living sons, but it's supposed to be a very cathartic album, so look forward to that. Also on the 30th, Denzel Curry, Luke Combs, Mondo Cosmo. There's a U2 EP from like the Zooropa era. Oasis have a reissue anniversary of I think their first album. Thelonious Monk has original jazz classics. Ty Segall and Laurie Anderson all have new albums on the 30th. September 6th is a pretty big day, even though it's a holiday week, so that puts the pressure on us to get everything in on time. But David Gilmour's new record, Neil Young's box set of archival stuff, the 3rd box set. Fish have 3 vinyl reissues that day, Rift, Junta, and Picture of Nectar. Hoist comes a couple weeks later, I think on the 20th. Also, September 6th, the new The album, which has been 25 years in the making. Heavy have a new album. Toro y Moi, Atlas Genius, Mercury Rev, you're probably writing fast now. George Strait, MJ Landerman, 4 Jimmy Buffett reissues. King Crimson's Sheltering Sky. 2 Tone Poets from Jackie McLean and Modern Jazz Trio. Ultravox reissue of Lament. Vince Guaraldi, there's an election type themed Charlie Brown thing. Shovels and Rope, and Grateful Dead, Fillmore East Live. September 13th, it's another big week. Jimi Hendrix, an Electric Ladyland box. Van Morrison Duets album, Not a Surf, Jesus Lizard, another band that hasn't had an album in 20-some years. Suki Waterhouse, Nick Lowe, it's been 10 years for him, I think, solo. Nilüfer, Floating Points, Cursive, Tim Bonus, Bare Naked Ladies, Jack White, the regular reissue of No Name, and Eminem finally comes out physically with his new album. September 20th, the Bob Dylan and the Band CD box set of his 1974 tour. Grateful Dead Duke 78 comes out that day. 3 more Sade reissues, including Love Deluxe and the ones that are harder to get, the later ones. Jamie XX, Bright Eyes, ASAP Rocky, Katy Perry, Kenny Wayne Shepherd, Weave featuring Graham Coxon and Rose Eleanor Dugal. There's a live King Gizzard, Keith Urban, Nelly Furtado, Hippocampus, Michael Timmons of Cowboy Junkies, James Bay, and Seether. There's way more than these guys, but these are the ones that sort of stood out to me right away. And on September 27th, Billy Strings, J.D. McPherson, Shoo Shoo, Alan Sparhawk of Low, his first after his wife Mimi passed away. Sophie, so there's a reissue there. Sunflower Bean, Jake Bug, Luke Bryan, and Chris Daughtry. And can't forget October 4th, coming up, the Aphex Twin reissue of Select Ambient Works on vinyl. So there's a lot, and there's more than that, but those are just things that sort of, you know, popped out at me. Okay, and last thing, I only have a couple minutes here, so it's going to be a quick recommend today. But I'm going to recommend Julie Cruz and her album Floating into the Night. If you're a Twin Peaks fan, you know exactly what I'm talking about. This features Falling, her big hit from Twin Peaks, the theme to that. This album is all about just being zen and calm in a way, but there's a sort of unsettling aspect behind the screen. And Julie was basically a staffer for David Lynch, and he was like, you know, I'm looking for someone to sing these songs that I'm writing with Angelo Badalamenti, things that we're going to use in like Blue Velvet, the movie, and then eventually Twin Peaks. And she kind of got roped into doing that. She was lived in New York, and had this very, you know, can you sing quiet? Yes. Can you sing in a 50s style? Well, sort of, you know. So she did that, and this album is very, very mystical in a way, and haunting. If you've seen the Twin Peaks series, you've heard all the music, but Falling is the big song that people remember. Rockin' Back Inside My Heart is a song that has kind of a 50s throwback to it. Mysteries of Love was used in Blue Velvet, so that's a very haunting song. And then the title track, Into the Night, the first track on side 2, just very quiet and just kind of floats along, and then all of a sudden there's like something that will jar you if you're not expecting it. But it's a very lonely kind of haunting, autumnal sounding album as we're kind of going into the fall here. The leaves are going to be changing. This cover was done by David Lynch, by the way, which makes sense. He loves to do sort of odd imagery and whatever. But yeah, and Julie's since passed away, unfortunately, a couple years ago. And she and David had sort of a tenuous relationship after this, because he sort of retained ownership of all of these things, and she felt sort of beholden to him in a lot of ways. And then when it came time to do the reunion series in 2017, she was basically involved in the project, but he didn't use her music or image until it was like the 14th or 15th episode out of 16. And as soon as she started singing, the credits started rolling over her face, and they put her in darkness, and she was angry and sort of like, after all the years of like finally being able to sort of make peace with it, she felt like he sort of betrayed her again. And unfortunately, she went to her grave that way. So I don't know if they had any discussions after that, but that's a side note story. But definitely check out Floating into the Night if you have not. I mean, she doesn't have a big voice. It's not like grandstandish. It's very girly in a way. Very 60s, early 60s, late 50s kind of. But it's just a very haunting sort of album. And if you go watch the Twin Peaks series, which you should, and the video, if you're into sort of like something that's gonna take your mind off of everything in the world, for sure, definitely watch the show before you watch the 90s movie, because the 90s movie gives away all the secrets. So anyway, I've already told certain people to do this, but sometimes it's too late and then all the secrets are spoiled. That's not a way to live. All right. Thank you so much for joining me again. I'm running out of time. I got to open the store. So have a great weekend, and thanks again for all your support. Peace. Enjoy the last few days of summer and the last vestiges of warmth. I don't know. September can usually get a little hot around here, so I'm sure it probably is down south too. So, and out west. Take care, everybody. Thanks again for joining me. You know who you are.